But me, your man, Louie T. Welcome to Sunday Night Football Overtime. Patriots, Seahawks. Every time these two lock horns, man, do they produce some gems. And this was another one in their storybook history. I'll tell you what, though. Every time the Seahawks meet the Patriots, they lose their damn minds in the waning moments of the football game, okay? Why the hell are you throwing 40 yards down the field on 3rd and 1? Now, I praised and lauded the Seahawks for turning Russ loose last week on 4th and 5 and him throwing that bomb to DK. And when it works, man, is it a thing of beauty. We saw another bomb from him to DK tonight. But on 3rd and 1, okay, first of all, the first mistake. And let me slow down a bit. Thank you for joining me on the program tonight. That was a hell of a football game. Don't you agree? Don't you agree? Were you not entertained? I feel like you were. 35-30 Seahawks victory. This one came down to the wire, and I don't think it really needed to. I think the Seahawks really put themselves in a tough spot. And there's so many takeaways from this game because there are a lot of things that I had said coming into this game. Some were true. There were a couple that were really false. And I'm going to call myself out on a couple of items tonight. But let me go back to the point that I was making before I set the table. All right, Patriots fall short 35-30. They leave the game at 1-1 tonight. Seahawks, meanwhile, remain undefeated. They're 2-0. They'll host the Cowboys next week. Should be an excellent game. Both of them coming from dramatic victories. But nonetheless, Seattle seems to lose their damn mind at the end of games versus the Patriots. They seem to be even-keeled and they do the right things against everybody else. But when they play the Patriots, for some reason, they think it's smart to throw it when they should run. Now, it all started with Chris Carson not actually knowing the time in the game. It's called situational awareness, and not everybody has that, okay? He should have stayed in bounds or got as many yards as possible. Inbounds, out of bounds didn't really matter. He could have run out of bounds if he got 9 yards. That's more important than you worrying about staying in bounds. That had nothing to do because the clock was going to stop. You were going to hit the 2-minute warning regardless. So whether that play ended at 1:58 or 2 minutes or 2:02, the 2-minute warning was going to stop the clock. So he should have gotten, and there was at least 3 or 4 more yards he could have gotten on that first down run when he decided to slide. So that was the first mistake made, was shorting yourself 3 or 4 extra yards to set up 2nd and 5. Then they run it again, pick up an additional 3 or 4 yards, and set up the stage for 3rd and, I want to say it was 3rd and 1, but it was a long one. It was closer to 2 than it was 1, but that's nor here nor there. Bottom line is, the Seahawks should have run the football. Okay, the Patriots had not really stopped them in short yardage situations tonight, and I don't think they were going to be able to stop Chris Carson. They would have gotten that 1 yard and effectively had been able to run out the clock and would have won this game quiet and peacefully, and you wouldn't have had the dramatics that then ensued and followed. But instead, they decided to listen to Chris Collinsworth. Or are they going to let Russell Wilson cook? What the hell are you cooking with 2 minutes left in the game? And it's 3rd and 1, and all you need is the first down, and the game's over. Why are you throwing the football 40 yards down the field? It makes absolutely no sense. Anyway, they did it. It did not work. The Patriots then got the football and almost completed a miraculous comeback on a day full of crazy comebacks. Now, not all of them were completed, okay, but we saw a lot of teams getting their brains bashed in early in games today, only to have those teams roar back and either steal it, as in the case of the Cowboys, or fall short in the case of the Jaguars. Either way, we saw a lot of comebacks. And you could throw the Giants in there if you like. They were down 17-0 as well. So at the end of the day, the Seahawks prevailed. Why did they prevail? Because the Patriots are so damn predictable down by the end zone. You know what would have been really good had the Patriots not used that fake cam run and pass to the fullback earlier in the game when they wanted to get in the end zone. Had they still had that up their sleeve, they would have had it for the end of the game and they would have scored a touchdown because Seattle sold out on run. And they did the right thing because who didn't know Cam Newton was getting that football on that final play of the game? Who didn't know that they were going to run? I told my girl, we were watching it together, and I said, this is a Cam Newton run. And how are they going to stop it? I didn't think they were going to be able to stop it, to be honest with you. I mean, the fact that, when Seattle called that timeout, that was purposefully done to bring over Bobby Wagner, which you saw him talking with head coach Pete Carroll. And Pete Carroll was saying, this is a Cam Newton run. Tell your compadres, tell everybody in that huddle, this is a Cam Newton run, sell out, go and get his ass before he gets going. That's the only way to stop a 250-pound locomotive, is you have to get him before he starts. If he gets going and he gets downhill and he lowers his shoulder, good luck stopping him from picking up a yard. But they got to him and they cut his legs out before he even got going on that play. Who didn't know that was coming? All right, the Patriots are so predictable down there, and the one time they weren't, they scored a touchdown, which is the pass that they had to Johnson, the fullback. And so who didn't see that one coming? But I owe the Patriots a big double O. Okay, I owe Cam Newton. I owe, I'm so stupid because I do this every time. How many times can you fall for the same trap? I fall for the same trap every single year with these Patriots. When you think they're done and you think they can't re-innovate themselves and you think they can't find a way to be adaptable and malleable, they do it again. Tonight, that running shit that they pulled last week versus the Dolphins that I mocked them for, they couldn't have done that tonight and hung in with Russ and company the way they're scoring points this season. They've scored 35 or more in both of their first 2 wins this season, 38 last week, another 35 this week. They couldn't try that running bullshit they did against the Dolphins last week and been in this ball game. So what did they do? They unleashed Cam Newton. He threw for damn near 400 yards in this game. Are you kidding me? After last week's performance, did you think he had this kind of performance in him with this offense? I mocked their receivers. They're throwing to Damiere Byrd. Let me say that again. For those of you in the back that might be a little hard of hearing, let me say it one more time. They're throwing to Damiere Byrd. Okay. Only Carolina Panthers fans know who Damiere Byrd even is. Okay? Like, a lot of you are like, who? Byrd? Dominique Byrd? No, not the tight end from like 7 years ago. Damiere Byrd. Okay? That's the kind of guys Cam Newton has to work with. Is Julian Edelman, all right? N'Keal Harry. Never, ever trust a man with 2 first names. And then, hey, pick your choice, man. It's a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of no names out there, man. At one point, it was like Olashansky or whatever the hell the dude's name is. Gunnar Olashansky or whatever his name is was like the most impressive receiver in camp. Like, are you serious right now? But they found a way, man. They are getting it done. And this is the story of Cam Newton. Remember in Carolina, who the hell was he throwing to over there anyway, right? Like, this has been the story of Cam Newton's career. You give him one guy that he can rely on, whether it's a tight end or it's a receiver, and he'll make the rest of it work. And he did it again tonight. Got to credit Josh McDaniels and company. Double overtime. Okay. I was wrong. I was wrong. I was critically wrong because I was hypercritical of this Patriots offense. I did not think they were capable of doing the things that they did tonight. And this shows me that if need be, and not every defense that they play against is going to be as soft in the middle, because I thought there were too many opportunities for Cam against 3-man rushes. It was like feast or famine for the Seahawks defense tonight. Either they were sending Jamal Adams after him, like he had a tracking device on Cam, or they were rushing 3 and Cam was back there forever and he would find someone after 6 seconds of standing back there buying time. And so you can't have it both ways. That's going to be the demise of the Seahawks. And I've talked about this. First of all, who doesn't think the Jamal Adams trade is worth it at this point? I told you I loved the trade when it happened. I love it even more. He was worthy of those 2 first-round picks because the Seahawks don't know what to do with first-round picks anyway. So I love this deal for them. And you're seeing why it was a good move. They're using this guy in every way imaginable, and he is the catalyst right now of this defense. But I digress. When you look at Seattle, I talked about even during this trade of Jamal Adams and getting him and acquiring him, I said, you're still lacking a true threat off the edge. Who's going to bag the quarterback? And you saw it on this drive at the end of the game, but more importantly, you saw it for the entire night. This is the second week in a row they've almost surrendered 400 yards passing to a quarterback. Last week they gave up over 400 to Matt Ryan and company. This week, offense that looked just as anemic as it could be through the air, even though Cam was pretty efficient last week versus the Dolphins. It still looked like a mess. To me, it still looked like a team that had to run and set up the pass. This week, they did whatever the hell they wanted to do through the air. Cam Newton looked like he turned the clock back 4 or 5 years to 2015. And he almost threw for 400 yards passing. This Seahawks defense has a problem. They cannot get to the quarterback without blitzing. And when you blitz, you leave yourself vulnerable. They've got some issues, man. Seriously. Like, New England shouldn't have looked this good throwing the football tonight. But they did. And this is the second week in a row that teams have had no resistance going up and down the field on Seattle's defense. Yet, Russell Wilson and the offense has bailed them out 2 weeks in a row. At some point, that's not going to work. They're going to have to do something, whether it's the trade deadline or if I don't know how you fix this, but this was a problem coming into the season. It's an even bigger problem now watching Seattle play. They've got to be able to get to the quarterback without blitzing, and there is no one, and I mean nobody. Not Collier, not Bruce Irvin. None of these guys can get to the quarterback by themselves. They've got to actually find a way to draw up pressure. They've got to conjure up pressure. They can't just get it with 4 guys. And it's killing them right now. Because that's not how Seattle's defense is built. They're not built to blitz. They're built to play cover 3, keep everything in front of them, and get pressure with 4. Well, they can't do that. So they're giving it up. And they made Cam Newton look like Patrick Mahomes tonight. He was scrambling around. He had one where he rolled out to his left, stopped, planted his feet, and launched it 45 yards down the field to a diving Julian Edelman. They had him out there looking like Aaron Rodgers, slinging a rock around. They've got to do something defensively. And the problem is, I don't know what it is that they can do. They don't have anybody. But I digress. This Russell Wilson guy, this Russell Wilson fella over here, dangerous Russell Wilson. That boy is bad, man. 9 touchdown passes, over 1 pick, and the pick wasn't his fault. Went right through his tight end's hands. Did we see him after the false start the rest of the night? I don't know. I might not have been paying close enough attention, but he had a ball go right through his hands. Here I am praising him, how he's going to be a huge addition, and I think ultimately he will. Might have just been a rough night for him, but has a ball go right through his hands on the first possession into the hands of McCourty for a pick 6 touchdown. Then he has a false start penalty, and he went to the bench, and I don't think I saw him the rest of the night. For whatever it's worth, I think he's going to be a huge part of this football team this season, but it was a rough night for Greg Olsen. Grego! He'll be fine, but 9 touchdown passes, 1 interception for Russell Wilson through the first 2 weeks of the season. The only guy that is even comparable to where he is right now is Aaron Rodgers, who's on an absolute tear himself. Those two are head and shoulders above the rest of the league in terms of the way they're throwing the football right now. But Russ is in a different dimension, man. When this guy has it going, he is lethal. And his deep ball, man, my goodness, that thing comes out of the sky like a soft raindrop. Man, is that thing a beautiful deep ball or what? It just drops out of the sky. That thing he threw to DK Metcalf was a thing of beauty. And, watching him and Gilmore go at it tonight was really fun. The little brouhaha, the little skirmish on the sidelines, them getting after it. But, the funniest part about all of that was when DK caught the deep ball. He literally ran through Gilmore, who was diving and putting all of his body weight on him. He ran through him like a little child. Like, that was the equivalent of me catching a deep ball and my 2-year-old now son trying to tackle me, and I just keep running like he's not even on the back of my leg. Like, he just fell off of him like he wasn't. He tried to grab his arm and then his thigh and then his leg, and he just slid right off of him like he wasn't even there. That guy is built like a Mack truck, is DK Metcalf. And Gilmore, who usually is the aggressor. He's usually the more physical. I told you last week on the podcast that he ran a route for a receiver, so much so that he ran the receiver over trying to get back to the ball to pick it off and picked up a PI. In the process, he was so good and so big and physical with that guy. And Gilmore's a big guy. Don't forget, he's a 6'1", 10-pound corner. And DK Metcalf makes him look like a little petulant child out there. That was fun to watch, though. And I tell you what, Russ finding five different guys for a touchdown tonight, hit Chris Carson for a touchdown, hit DK for a touchdown, hit Tyler Lockett for that. And that's a thing of beauty. Russ rolling out to his right, throwing across his body. I mean, and that was a BB in the back of the end zone to Tyler Lockett. On point as he's going the opposite direction. This guy is insane. He hits Moore for a deep ball touchdown. That's some good footwork by Moore to get in there. And who am I missing? There's one more touchdown that he threw, and it's escaping me who that recipient was. But man, 5 different guys on the night catching a touchdown pass from Russell Wilson. This guy's in fuego, man. He is just absolutely. Oh yeah, it was the guy on the play where Lockett was in the backfield and he comes across on the dragger and nobody's home as he strolls into the end zone. I just don't know his name. I can't remember his name. But what a night for Russell Wilson yet again. And another big day for him. Their rush offense looks good. They're just leaning on Russ a little bit more, which I think is fair, which is what they need to do. But when it's time to run, okay, that's when it's time to put your childish things away and do the right thing, okay? There's time to have fun, and then there's time to run. And at the end of the game, 3rd and 1, you need to run the football. The Patriots weren't going to stop you there. Going for the gusto, you don't need to go for the jugular vein. You're looking to cut their neck and have them bleed out rapidly with that deep ball. You can just, it's fine if you just cut the vein. It's fine if you just cut. You can cut the right in the inner thigh right there, and they'll bleed out nice and slow. It's the same thing. It's still death. Whether you do it fast or you do it slow, it's still death. And you want to go and cut the jugular, and you want them to die right there instantly after that deep ball. For what? Just win the game. So I told my guy, I said they deserve to lose this game. Because every time at the end of ball games against the Patriots, for some reason, they lose their damn minds. And they decide that they want to throw. And I just didn't understand the logic here. Run the damn ball. Okay? You were getting 3-4 pop. Run the ball and win the game. But let's go to the Patriots, and then we'll get to your comments real quick. Edelman was awesome tonight, and he was banged up. He hurt his neck. He was dealing with a lower extremity injury as well. He's always dealing with something. He's tough as nails. He was awesome tonight. Cam Newton was awesome tonight. And I owe him, and I've already offered up the double O. I'm not offering up another one, but I owe all of them my deepest sympathies. Speaking of deepest sympathies, my heart goes out to James White tonight. That was just devastating news. My heart dropped as Michelle Tafoya delivered the news because I had no idea. I just finished the Washington football overtime show. I'm trying to play catch up on the game, and Michelle Tafoya jumps out there and says, "Hey, we got tragic news." And I'm thinking it's some kind of loss in the NFL world, like somebody beloved died or something. And then to hear that this guy's parents get in a car accident back in Florida, dad tragically passes away, and mom is fighting for her life in critical condition. That's just awful, man. And, you wish that on nobody. And so my prayers, my thoughts, my prayers go out to him and his family. And I hope his mom pulls through. And, man, that's just rough there. But back to football. I thought the Patriots did a masterful job of mixing it up tonight. It wasn't that steady diet of Cam Newton left, Cam Newton right, that I thought we were going to get after watching them against the Dolphins, because as I learned over the years and still have fallen for the banana in the tailpipe, the Patriots adapt to their surroundings. They adapt to their opponent. And I should have known that last week it was easy. It was good enough to just put up 21 and have Cam run it, damn near 20 times and just do enough to win. And this week, That wasn't going to fly. They knew that. They knew they were going to have to score 30 plus to win. And Cam running it 15 to 20 times wasn't the answer. And I say that he still was their damn leading rusher, but that's the Patriots, like last week it was a bevy of guys on the ground. This week it was more Cam Newton on the ground, but Cam through the air was more prevalent and it almost got him a win. So maybe they're still dangerous. Maybe we shouldn't count them out of the AFC East, although the Bills do look pretty damn impressive. And, you may say, oh, they gave up 28 to the Dolphins, who only scored 11 last week. And I'll tell you, the Bills had some injuries. Their two best linebackers were out in the game. I don't need to get into that. The Bills scored 31 points, okay? They won the game. They're dangerous. So are these Patriots. That division is shaping up to be pretty damn interesting now because I was counting the Patriots out. I said there's no way that they're going to be able to get double-digit wins, which, I didn't think it would take to win the division, but maybe it will now. Now that the Patriots aren't as bad as I think, I don't know if 9-7 is going to be good enough, which is what I had the Bills winning the division at. Maybe you will have to get to 10-6, maybe even 11-5. If this Patriots team can play like this when they need to, and they don't have to play like this every week, because you're not playing Russell Wilson every single week. You're not playing an MVP candidate every single week. You're not going to have to score 35 or 36 to win every week. So if they need to do this, it's interesting now to know that they have that in their back pocket. If they have to reach back and have Cam sling it 44 times and almost throw for 400 yards, that's in the arsenal. They don't want to have to do that very often because, again, they don't have a bunch of weaponry. But it's good to know that if, in fact, that is a necessity, they have the ability to do that. That's pretty damn impressive, man. Don't bet against Bill Belichick. I know the rules to the game, and I refuse to play, and it almost got me. It almost got me tonight. But nonetheless, the Seahawks with a great goal line stand at the end of the ball game. They knew what was coming. Everybody knew what was coming. Okay, you had to be not watching the game or blind or unaware of what any team with Cam Newton at quarterback does in that kind of situation to not know what was coming. And unfortunately for the Patriots, they didn't trick them. They did the thing that we thought was coming, and the Seahawks sold out, and they guessed right, and they got the win. So what a game. What a finish. What a game. It was a great game. It wasn't just a great finish. We've seen that before, too. A game that, and then you get to the end, and the finish is just outstanding. No, this game from start to finish had everything, and this was a fun watch. So hopefully we'll get a lot of the same next week, as we'll have two more high-scoring offenses in the Packers and the Saints squaring off. So they're feeding us some really good games on Sunday Night Football. That's 2 straight weekends on Sunday night of great finishes to what were really good ball games. Cowboys game, not as entertaining, but I enjoyed it thoroughly. This one, and that one came down to the wire with a controversial call. This one comes down to the wire with not a controversial call, but a play call that we knew was coming. Okay, and a hell of a stop by the Seattle Seahawks defense. But they've got their own issues on the defensive side of the football. They cannot get to the quarterback unless they blitz, and it is killing them on that side of the football. And eventually, it's going to catch up and bite them squarely in the ass if they don't fix it somehow, some way. And I don't know the answer to that. So we'll see. But in any event, let's get to your comments out here. I think I saw a super chat, and I did. So I'll knock that one out. But got a super chat from Jack M. Thank you for the super chat, Jack M. Greatly appreciate you. Jack writes, "Go Hawks, but I'm going to need 5 heart surgeries." I'm not even a Seahawks fan, and I was at the edge of my seat. And really, this game was of no consequence to my sheet for the week because just about everybody picked Seattle. When's the last time I can say that? A game in which the Patriots are playing that everybody picked the opposite team. That is so rare. So if I would have lost this game, theoretically, everybody would have been taking the loss with me because not many people are picking the New England Patriots to beat Seattle in Seattle, minus the crowd, obviously, but still, it's still Seattle on primetime. I've already stressed this to you a million times. Never bet against the Seattle Seahawks at home on primetime. It's not smart. It's not prudent. And anybody else that thinks that that's the right move, you need to go in the bathroom, turn on some ice cold water, and wash your face and get your mind right, okay? Anything else other than a Seahawks win at home on primetime television would be uncivilized. So they took care of business the way that they were supposed to, but I was on the edge of my seat because, one, I still want the win. I'm greedy. I want as many dubs as I can get. Now, right now, I sit at 13-2, which in my mind, I'm trying to convince myself that that's a good mark, but I feel like after looking at the schedule, someone could easily be 14-1 right now, possibly 15-0. I mean, this wasn't that hard of a week. It looked hard on paper, but, you know, as the day kind of wore on and you were watching these games unfold, Jacksonville could have easily taken out Tennessee, which I talked about. The Bears could have easily, you want to talk about 5 heart surgeries. I almost needed a triple bypass earlier watching the Bears barely hold on. I'll talk about that on the podcast tomorrow. I won't bore you with that tonight. The Cowboys game, that was a loss for me. It should have been a loss. All right. So easily this week could have been, you know, an 11-5, you know, 10-6 week if, you know, games had went in a different direction. But as, you know, things would have, as, you know, the football gods would have it, things went in my direction for the most part. And you look up and you're 13-2 heading to Monday Night Football. I don't really love my Monday night matchup, but we'll see what happens with that. But you need 5 heart surgeries. My day was rough today, okay? I had to have a couple glasses of wine before I got up here. Like I said, we're in the same boat, Jack. Just know that, okay? At least your team came away with the dub today. Mine, however, did not. Anyhow, let's get to some of these comments. Reese says, what a game, Lou. Don't you just love football? My goodness. Yes. Yes, I do. This is exactly why I love this game so dearly and can't live without it. Silver V says, wow. Now that was a great game. Russ is going for the MVP trophy this year. He deserves it, man. And if he keeps playing the way that he's played in these first 2 games, if these are any indications of what is to come, you can just go ahead and slide him that trophy right now. You know, no need to wait until, you know, late December into January. Just hand him the trophy right now. No one is going to be able to keep up this kind of pace. I don't even think Russ himself is going to be able to keep up this pace, but he's going to play good football all year long because for the first time, maybe in his career, and I know if you're a Seahawks fan, this may be blasphemous, what I'm about to say, because Doug Baldwin was out there balling for years. But no one ever viewed Doug Baldwin as a legit, like, oh my God, we got to stop Doug Baldwin, number 1 wide receiver. And maybe that was to everybody else's detriment, and that's why he would eat the way that he would. But Russell Wilson has never had a legit number 1 wide receiver. He's got one now in DK Metcalf. And so I've always said that a number 1 wide receiver properly slots the rest of your receivers. And for a small space there, once Doug Baldwin retired, Tyler Lockett had to pose as a number 1, and he's nobody's number 1. But he's a damn good number 2 option. And now that you have DK Metcalf as a true legit number 1, now you got Tyler Lockett as a number 2. And he's eating number 2 corners for lunch, dinner, and breakfast. So now you have your 2 receivers that you need locked into their proper slots. And now Russ can dominate. Now the David Moores of the world and all these other guys that need to fit in their proper slots aren't acting as number 2s or more as a bona fide third, probably more likely than not a 4th option, and he can fall into that role the way he's supposed to. And everybody just fits where they belong now. And so I think that's why you're seeing this tremendous maturation from Russ. But this was already coming. This was already in the works. When they would every time they would turn him loose, he would go nuts and throw 4 touchdown passes, but they just wouldn't do it often. I think they've officially handed him the keys to that offense, and Russ can pretty much do whatever he wants. You can do whatever you like. Yeah, and you see the end result. Got a super chat here. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that one out. Remember, if you want to jump to the front of the line, super chat is the way to do it. We got a bunch of comments here. So super chats are going to be the way that you guarantee you get your comment read. If you haven't already done so, go ahead and make sure that you hit that like button. All right. Hit the subscribe button as well. And turn on your notifications so you don't miss a thing. Got one here from Silver V. Thank you for the super chat. Silver Villains, who writes, how long you gonna wait to put some respect on Elderman's name? Dude is a flat out baller. Edelman is probably what you meant. I'm gonna assume. I think I already put some respect on Edelman's name already. I think I did that at the very beginning of this show. So you might have came in late and missed that, but I gave Edelman, and I've always been a massive Julian Edelman fan. Guy is a monster. You know, one of those guys, and remember, we had this conversation before, you know, once upon a time, about is Julian Edelman a Hall of Famer? I don't know if his regular season stats bear that out, but his postseason numbers are out of this world. They talked about it on the telecast. We've talked about it for years. He always comes up big in the postseason. And so I'm not sure that he's not in that conversation. There are some guys that have gotten in recently that I'm like, what? He's a Hall of Famer. And I look at Julian Edelman and I'm like, he's not a Hall of Famer? Like, Brady doesn't exist without Edelman. And it's funny because for years we would say, oh, Brady doesn't have a guy. You know, all these quarterbacks that are great always have at least one guy, you know, a road dog, you know, if you will, you know, over the years. And Brady's never really truly had that guy. You know, it was a revolving door. It was Troy Brown. It was David Givens. It was Randy Moss for a brief spell. It was Gronk. But people always just, you know, it was Wes Welker at one point. People always just somehow conveniently omit the impact that Julian Edelman has had over the life of his career. I don't know how people manage to do that with a straight face. He's been so good for his career. And, you know, I was saying it's the beginning of the end of Julian Edelman with no Tom Brady. He wanted to go to Tampa Bay with Tom, and of course the Patriots weren't having that. And now he's got this second act here with Cam Newton, and he's still at it, man. Even though he let one go through his hands, that was a 102 mile an hour Cam Newton fastball up high that Edelman couldn't handle on that final possession. That could have been a touchdown, but Edelman still is a beast. Man, oh man, that diving catch he had tonight, ridiculous. Thank you for the super chat, Silver V. Let's see. Reese says, are we on the Russell Wilson MVP tour? Feel like it. Talked about it on the podcast. Feel like it. Talked about it on the NFL Peak Performers last week on Patreon. That's exclusive on Patreon. So are the Redskins film breakdowns and the NFL Rookie Wall. You know, so all of that exclusive content on Patreon, get you some. Become a patron so you don't miss out. Mr. TNA 2005 says, Lou, I may be the only one, but I like that 3rd and 1 call. My mindset is every time you give it the ball to your best player. Wilson is their best player, and they should pass. I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that at all. This is not basketball. You do not need your best player to shoot the last shot. In football, you do whatever is going to make sure that gives you the best chance to succeed. In the NBA, what gives you the best chance to succeed is your best player having the ball, whether he decides to take the last shot or if he's a playmaker and he distributes to someone because he penetrates, the defense sucks in and he kicks it out and somebody's got a wide open look. That's the NBA. Your best player is supposed to be a playmaker, whether that's shooting or creating for everyone else. This is not that. The NFL is different. You want to do whatever gives you the best chance to win. And on 3rd and 1, you have a higher probability of running for 1 yard than throwing it 40 yards down the field for a first down. So I vehemently disagree with you on this one. I love the fact that they had the confidence in Russ to turn him loose. I told you they did it last week on 4th and 5. He threw it, that same play, but he threw it to DK Metcalf, and it turned out to be a touchdown on 4th and 5 against the Falcons last week. But that wasn't with the game on the line. That wasn't with a chance to put the game away. You got 3rd and 1 with a physical back that falls forward. You give him the football, and you pick up the first down, and you take knees, and you get out of there with a win instead of having to sweat it out and possibly lose. They deserve to lose the game because of that play call. I disagree with you. John Perez says, didn't see this one because I was busy watching my Lakers. Nobody gives a shit about the NBA. Get out of here. JP says, dangerous is the truth, and very rarely does Stephon Gilmore get beat deep like that. Very rarely. But that goes to show you just how good DK Metcalf really is. Kyle Little says, NFC West looks like it's living up to the hype. Yeah. I told you they were going to be a good division. You got 4 2-0 teams. No. You got 3 2-0 teams and 1 1-1 team. Seattle, LA Rams, and Arizona are all 3-2, and the 49ers are 1-1. They're in trouble, though, because they had a nightmare of a game, and they've already said, we're not looking forward to going back and playing on that turf that we played on today. They feel like the stadium, the field, had a lot to do. We'll talk about that on the podcast. I'm not going to bore you with that tonight. Black Al B says, watching our game today had me thinking, what the F were extensions handed out for? I'm hoping it's just because there was no preseason, but yikes, my Vikes look horrid. What did I tell you? What did I tell you? And you told me I was talking crazy. I tried to warn you. We'll talk more about it on the pod tomorrow. But I told you you're not going to the postseason this year. It's not going to be a typical Minnesota Vikings year. The football gods are coming to collect. You don't get to do what you did last year and skate free. You got to pay. You thought it was playing. You thought it was bullshit. I told you this before. I'll tell you again because a wise woman told me, so I'm going to tell you. Those who don't hear, they feel. Okay? Okay. Reese says, DK Metcalf smoked Stephon Gilmore like I can't even say that, a Colbia. He said, that boy is a monster. Yes. Yes, he is. And to think, people like me were criticizing him. He can't run routes, and he's so tight because he's so big, and he's mechanical, and he this, and he that, and and all he's done is come in and tear the league up. I said this when he was drafted. He couldn't have gone to a better place. Seattle is the perfect place for his talents to be cultivated. But I offered up my 00 last year, like 5 or 6 games in. And people were telling me I was crazy because it was too soon. They were still on that hater train. I was like, look, I know when I see talent. And I know when I see it. You know when you see it. I know when I see it. I can't speak for you. And I knew I saw it 6 games in last year, and I was like, okay, I'm going to go ahead and offer up this 00 right now. Spare myself the embarrassment of waiting until this guy blows up. I'm going to just do it right now, get it out the way. Reese says, Lou, Aaron Rodgers, this guy is pissed off and he wants to fight. He's out for blood. His teammates said that. I'm going to reserve judgment until they actually play a real NFL squad, because in the first 2 weeks, they played 2 teams in the division that aren't very good, in Detroit and Minnesota, and they did what they're supposed to do to those 2 teams. So when he plays a real team, next week will be a great barometer. They'll play the Saints on the road. It's not the same environment with no fans, but it's still the Saints on the road. You know, firsthand, you dealt with the Saints on the road. And so we'll see if he does what he did this week and last week again. If he can do it against New Orleans on the road, all right. Now I'm like, okay, yeah, A-Rod's on a different level, and Russ might have some company on this MVP tour that he's going off on. Ree also says, we should have blown out the Panthers, Lou. Shady McCoy dropped an easy touchdown pass, and the receiver we brought up from the practice squad also dropped an easy touchdown. Yeah, I haven't watched the game yet, so I'll be able to talk to you more about that tomorrow. Emperor Meat says, I heard on Monday's podcast how your tone on Derek Carr versus Stafford debate has changed. 2 years ago, I had Carr and you had Stafford, but My has time changed things. Stafford equals loser. Yeah, I brought it up. I said we're gonna have that debate at some point, man. I told you we got to have a nice Matthew Stafford debate discussion, not a debate, just a discussion. We'll have plenty of time for that. That's probably more of an off-season conversation because there's so much going on during the course of the season. But at some point, we need to have that discussion. But you're right. I remember having that conversation with you, and yeah, Matthew Stafford, man, he's the Carmelo Anthony of the NFL. His numbers will look great, but he's a loser. And there's no other way to say it. Captain Spartan 04 says, something about the Seahawks Patriots, that 1 yard line. I know, right? Something about that. Something about how those two teams play it so close when they're playing one another. And something about how the Seahawks seem to lose their damn minds at the end of these games. But, yep, you said it right because you got the Super Bowl. I think it was 4 years ago, you had the pass to Gronk that was incomplete. Now you got this play here. Man, they don't play often, but when they do, it's like a Dos Equis commercial. I don't really care too much for NFC versus AFC matchups. But if I do care for one, it's going to be Patriots and Seahawks. Mr. TNA also says, we need more Gilmore and Metcalf. Yeah, that was fun, man. That was fun. When is the last time you seen a nice little skirmish, little dust up on the sidelines like that where everybody's involved and they couldn't split them up? First of all, I'm like, Stephon, bruh, you don't want this smoke. All right. Anybody on that Seahawks team, you could go after. You do not want the smoke with DK. Let's stop this, okay? You're trying to be hard. We all know. Stand up for yourself. I'm not telling you to back down. But you don't want the smoke with DK. Nobody does, okay? Especially at the quarterback position. Nobody does. Anyway, Reese says, I'm so happy the Falcons choked. I kept seeing highlights of that game thinking it was over, but after all, Falcons gonna Falcon. Man, that was an epic choke job, though. That's one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. And I've seen plenty of choke jobs. My team has been involved in a bunch of them. That was one of the worst. And the bad part is, if you watch that game, which I did, the Cowboys did everything in their power to give the Falcons that game, and they refused to take it. They said, no. You got the Seahawks next week, right? On the road, right? No. You win this one. We'll be fine. We're 0-2, but we'll be fine. We got a winnable game next week. You got the Seahawks. If you go to 0-2, your season's done. Your season's done. I couldn't do that to you. I appreciate the gesture, but no, you go ahead. You get this one. Tell you what, you get this one, we'll get the next one. How's that sound? What are you doing, man? Take the win, you dummies. Anyway, I digress. Cody _1804 says, Mahomes is freaking great, but damn, Russ is equal or better in my opinion. I won't go that far. Okay. Mahomes is next level, but Russ, like I said, it's Mahomes. Russ is right there, and then Rodgers is right there, and then you take 5 steps, and then it's Watson, and then you take another 5 steps, and then it's everybody else. You can start listing them whatever way you like. That's to me the quarterback pecking order, and I'll throw Lamar Jackson in there too. Take those 5 steps after Deshaun, and then you could throw Lamar and all those other guys you like, knock yourself out. But that's the way it looks like to me right now. It's Patrick, it's Russ, it's Aaron, 5 steps, all right, 5 places, Deshaun, 5 more places, and then everybody else. Knock yourself out. Drew Brees, Tom Brady, Kyler Murray, Lamar Jackson, all of them. You knock yourself out. You put them in whatever order you want. But that's, to me, how it looks right now. Reese says, Edelman is a warrior. I call him Lionheart for good reason. hashtag RG3 hashtag says, can Russell Wilson finally take home that MVP trophy this year? I think he will. But again, it's early. It's 2 weeks of football. Anything can happen. God forbid an eye happen. I'm not going to say the word because enough of those happen today. I won't even say the word. I won't even put that in the atmosphere. But anything can happen. I'll just say that. But if he continues on this type of tear, obviously you can't keep. And the thing that I think is going to ultimately win out for him is that everyone's made it public record that he's never received an MVP vote, and everyone is outraged by that. Like, it's one thing if he's never won it, but he's received votes. But the fact that Lamar, all these second-year quarterbacks, Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, all these guys are winning MVP, and you're looking like, Russ ain't never got a vote, though? All these years Russ been eating, and he ain't never got a vote? I think voters are now, it's being planted in their brains now. If it's even close, you got to give it to Russ. So I think Russ, just by virtue of that alone, is going to have a great shot at winning it. Just because you're going to hear that a bunch of times this year, and I think it's going to sway voters when it comes time to vote. He deserves it anyway, though. Let's not act like he'd be getting some kind of charity, like he's some kind of charity case or something. Let's see. Reese says, thoughts out to James White. Absolutely. Jabril Adibi says, Russ is playing on rookie mode right now. 9 touchdowns and 11 incompletions on the season. That is absolutely insane. Like, last week he had the same amount of touchdowns as incompletions last week. He was 31 of 35 last week. He had 4 touchdown passes, which is insane. And this week, 21 of 28, so 7 incompletions. And like Jabril said, 9 touchdown passes total on the season, and now only 11 incompletions. The guy's just out of this world right now with the way he's playing the game. Lurts of Orthanic says, even as a Pats fan, I think I can objectively say, with White, we take this game. Cam needed an extra pair of hands. James White is a difference maker, so I can't disagree with you there. After seeing how valiant an effort the Patriots put up, a guy like White makes a huge difference. So missing him definitely changed the tenor of this game. Not just a guy out of the backfield that can catch it. He's also a big runner for them. They had nobody running the ball tonight but Cam Newton. I mean, he was their leading rusher tonight too. So, yeah, that would have made it. I don't know if they win the game, but White makes a difference. So, for whatever that's worth. Larry G's the best says Dunbar wasn't too long ago with DeAndre Baker and already balling out. Dunbar can play some football. All right. You say what you want about him off the field, okay? And the nonsense he got himself caught up in. The guy can play football, which is why we wanted him to stay in Washington, but it didn't work out for whatever reason. Assist _ says, we are the Washington football team, and this game against Arizona was a wake-up call. Hopefully Kendall Fuller can play against Cleveland. What do you think we will win? We'll talk about that later on next week. Reese says, in all seriousness, Lou, I don't see why my Bucks can't win at least 10 games. They definitely can win 10 games this season. I have you at 9-7, but that, again, the ball bounces your way. You win a game that I didn't anticipate you winning. There's no doubt you can win 10, maybe even 11 games. The Bucks are good. Don't get it twisted. I don't see. This is the thing. Buccaneers fans think I'm hating on them. I just don't think that your schedule, the way that it's set up, I don't think you're better than a lot of the teams on your schedule. You play a powerhouse schedule, not to mention your division not half bad. Now, you might see the Falcons by the time they're demoralized and realize their season is over, and you might not get the same Falcons team that's been playing the first, month of the season. So it just depends on when your games are, but make no mistake about it. Your division's tough. You play the AFC West. That's going to be interesting. You got the Chiefs on your schedule. You play all the division winners, which means you got to play Green Bay. You got to play San Francisco. You got to play, I'm missing one. Philadelphia, but I don't even know what the hell that means anymore, right? So anyway, bottom line is, you don't play the division winners. What am I talking about? You're Tampa Bay. You play the third place teams in everybody's division. So I take that back. So what do you get? You get the Giants, right? You get some trash. You should be able to win 10 games. I guess. I'm sticking with my 9-7, but Yeah, you should be able to win 10 games, I guess. You stay healthy, why not? Assist underscore says, congrats on 15K. I appreciate that, man. Another check mark off the checklist there as I hit 15K today. So I appreciate every single one of you. The reason I hit 15K is because a lot of you guys out there right now. So thank you so much, each and every single one of you guys out there for that. Reese says, Kyler Murray, Lou, he's a phenom. That's a grown man, Lou. A grown, tiny man. No, he's a tiny man. I refuse to call him a grown man. DK Metcalf is a grown man. He's Kyler Murray is a beast, but he's tiny. I can't, he doesn't like contact. There's a lot of things that irk me about Kyler Murray, but one thing's for sure. He's really talented, and he's really good. Captain Spartan 04. Crazy stat, this was the first game in 65 straight games the Patriots weren't favored to win. I talked about that on the podcast, talked about it early in the show. Yeah, just goes to show you that this is a different day and age now. It's a different Patriots era, if you will. And I can say, though, it's gotten off to a better start than I had anticipated. That's for sure. Reese says, you know how I know this year is different, Lou? I've seen the Bucks blow that game dozens of times. This time we put them away. We closed it out. It was Carolina. So as much as I would like to co-sign you feeling good about your win, you should feel good. It's your first of the season. Had that been, I don't know, New Orleans, I don't know, Atlanta. Okay, I'd like, yeah, that was a hell of a win. No, it's Carolina. You're supposed to do that to Carolina. So, yeah, good. Good for you. You won. You should be happy. It's your first of the season. But you want me to be impressed? Put 35 on Carolina and beat them 35-14. Don't hang on. And what did it end up? 31-17, 14, something like that. But if you watch the way the game was going, I didn't watch the game yet, so I can't tell you. But I know they climbed within a touchdown at 21-14 with McCaffrey. And then he got injured. I don't know if he left the game, but I can assure you that if he did leave the game, everything changed at that moment. So anyhow, got another super chat. This one is from Silver V. Thank you for doubling up, Silver V. Double up, Silver Villains. Thank you for doubling up. Appreciate you. Who writes, you had me psyched up with your heart over your head pick for Washington. Shaking my head. What happened, Louie T? Look, anytime I tell you I'm going with my heart over my head, you should run in the opposite direction. I am giving you the blueprint. I am telling you, I'm making a stupid decision right now. Okay? You know why people that have a lot of money like to have some kind of stock, some kind of ownership of people of some kind of business dealings in marriage and in death? You know why they do that? Because people are irrational when they're in those situations. They're not in their right minds. They do things that they wouldn't normally do. When someone dies and you're grieving, you're vulnerable. So you're a lot more likely to let the people at the funeral home psych you up to buy this, $15,000 casket. Why? Because you're in your feelings at that moment. When you're getting married and you go to the jeweler and you're talking about buying this person you love so much a ring, they can coax you into buying this ring that costs $3,000 more. You know why? Because you're vulnerable. You're emotional. You're thinking with your heart, not your head. So when I tell you I'm making a pick with my heart, not my head, I am telling you, run the other way. Don't follow me. I'm being stupid right now. Don't follow me. I'm being dumb. And that's what I did. I told you guys. I was giving you guys the real so that you could know, hey, Louie T tripping right here. I'm going to go the other way. But in case you don't know, now you do know. I'm not going to do that very often. I don't do that very often. I know the rules to the game. I broke the rules. I had to pay. Okay? I'm no different than anybody else. When the football gods come to collect, I have to pay just like everybody else. You break rules, you must pay for them. Okay? I got slapped on the wrist today with a loss. And not just in the winners and not just in my weekly pick'em. I got slapped with a loss in winners and losers. That's where it hurts the most. That's where the most money is. And I can't do that. And I normally don't. But I got caught up. It's okay. It happens to the best of us. I admit that I made a mistake. And I was telling anybody that would listen, I'm making a mistake. I'm in progress of making a mistake. There's nothing worse than knowing you're currently making a mistake and you don't have the ability to change and correct your mistake. You've already made it and you know you made it. Now you just have to live with it. So don't worry. I won't make that mistake again. And I'm so sorry if you didn't get the context clues surrounding what I was saying. Let me apologize to you now. I won't apologize to you again. Okay? Mistakes were made. I won't apologize to you again because I'm telling you, when I tell you this is a pick from the heart, I could be making a very big mistake here. So hopefully you understand that now. and mistakes were made again. Deepest sympathies. I really am not happy about that. Sorry. Yeah. Anyway, got another super chat here. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes, no upsets so far this week. Vegas having a good week. That's what I said. It wouldn't shock me if somebody was 15-0 right now. This week kind of went chalk. If you did the smart things, and you know, there are only maybe one or two games in there that could have tripped you up. I thought Philadelphia would have a stronger showing today. They didn't. I think a lot of you out there still felt like, oh, Indianapolis, they're not good. Minnesota's that's the winner there. I think some of you fell for that banana in the tailpipe. So you might have tripped up there. But outside of those two games, really, where should you have lost a game? I don't really know unless you were trying to be special. Ooh, Cincinnati's going to beat Cleveland. Unless you were trying something stupid, you know. And I told you, I was leaning towards Jacksonville. But I said, not falling for that trick. The old Jay Gruden going over there and scoring a bunch of points because he's the offensive coordinator. Jacksonville starts 0-2 trick. Not going to get me with that one. Nah, seen that one before. But this was a really, really good week if you just made the smart decision. You could be 14-1 right now heading into Monday night. I'm 13-2. Got a chance to go 14-2. Feels good. And I don't really regret any of my picks. I look back on the Washington pick and I'm thinking to myself, you know better than that. But I got caught up in the moment. I don't regret it because had we won, I'd be really ecstatic. We didn't. I needed that cold splash of water on my face, man. I got a nice, harsh, cold dose of reality today. You knew this. You knew your team was a 6-10, 7-9 team. And you started to kind of buy a little bit of what they were selling. Now you're back. You're back like cooked crack. You know what's good now. Okay? All is right with the world, I must say. Anyhow, let's see. J. Camman says, I had Edelman on the bench tonight. I put Hines in from the Colts instead, who did nothing. I don't blame you for that. Nyheim Hines is a guy that did some big things last week, and with the injury to Marlon Mack, you would think he would have an expanded role. And I'm shocked he gave you nothing. Edelman is a guy that I thought, seeing the Patriots offense, not really going to help you. Now, I will say Seattle's defense has been less than stellar to start this season off. So, from that standpoint, maybe it would have been an interesting discussion. But again, I wasn't impressed with the Patriots offense last week. So I wouldn't have thought they were going to do anything tonight. So I don't blame you for that decision. Assist_ says, do you play any video games? Not like I used to. I don't have the time. I play one game really, but that's like leisurely. I stopped playing. I'm gonna just tell you this. I stopped playing video games because I'm too competitive. I'm hyper competitive. If I play a game, I want to be the best. If I can't put in the time to be the best, because I hate losing. I hate losing at everything that I do. I'm a sore loser. I'm not afraid to admit that. So I want to win. If I can't win, then I don't want to play. So I don't play video games because I don't have enough time to invest the energy that I need to be able to get nice enough so that I don't lose. The only game that I play is on my Switch. I play Super Smash Brothers because that's a game I played since I was a kid. It's like getting on a bike. I could not play Smash Brothers for 6 months, pick up the sticks, and dust you quickly. Okay? So, whatever. Alex Smith. Yeah. No. JCam Man 99 says, Gilmore should have been thrown out of the game. Nah. No need to be thrown out of the game. That's just men doing what they do. A little testosterone being flung around there. No reason to throw anybody out of the game, man. Cody _1804 says, wait, you didn't think Minnesota would make the playoffs before the beginning of the season? Did you not see my predictions for the season? Shame on you, Cody. Those are available on the channel. Go look at my season predictions. They're all there. No, I can tell you this before. No, but go watch it. So you know, I put all my predictions. I told you guys, I put everything out there in the open for mass consumption so that you know where I stand. If I'm wrong, you know where to find me. If I'm right, you know where to find me. Okay? I'm not going to hide. That's the beauty of what it is I do. You know where to find me. JP. Seeing Barkley get hurt broke my heart, and San Francisco suffered all kinds of injuries on that nasty-ass Jets turf. Bosa was probably the biggest loss. Looks like they are in some trouble. They lost their quarterback. Looks like with a significant ankle injury. They're talking about him being out a month to a month and a half. They lost their running back. His injury doesn't look as bad, but he could be out for multiple weeks. They were already banged up coming into the game, mind you. And then it looks like they lost both their defensive tackle, Solomon Thomas, and Nick Bosa, both to torn ACLs. That's what it looks like right now. We'll get the official word tomorrow once those MRIs come back, but it does not look good for the 49ers. Let's see. Did you watch the Chargers-Chiefs game? Yes. Yes, I did. It was good. It was really good. We'll talk about that tomorrow. But I did watch that game already. And got a lot to say about that game as well. Chief says, Patriots need a new running back. Patriots need a lot of new things, but running back isn't really one of them. They've got plenty of those guys. I don't know if they're healthy, if they opted out, but they got the Alabama kid. They got Sony Michel. They got James White. They got Rex Burkhead. They're fine at running back. They're fine. JCamman 99 says, so Josh Allen is the 6th best QB in the NFL? Question mark. Yeah, you know how I feel about Josh Allen, man. So, do you think I'm surprised? Do you think I'm surprised? I'm not. They got him weapons. What did you think he was going to do? Get worse? He's only going to get better. He's a beast. I told anybody that would listen, all you had to do was go watch him 3 years ago at Wyoming. Not his final year at Wyoming, but the year before that. You already know what he was out there doing when he had talent. Then they took all his talent away, and then he had to fend for himself that last year, and he wasn't the same guy. But I said, that doesn't take away from the fact that this guy's ridiculously talented. He's big. He's athletic. He's got a rope for an arm. Oh, yeah. When he figures it out and he gets talent around him, he's going to be a problem. What have they done? I told you, I love Brandon Beane. I love Sean McDermott. I love what they've done. I love what they've built in Buffalo. We'll talk about that tomorrow on the podcast as well. Anyway, Captain Spartan 04 says, can we have a Matt Ryan conversation? I don't think he's a Hall of Famer, just a solid player. I'm biased because I've gotten in a lot of Matt Ryan and Ben arguments with the Falcons Super Bowl year. Matt Ryan's another interesting guy to have a conversation about because Matt Ryan's different. Matt Ryan has won an MVP. Matt Ryan should have won a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan's been good for a long time. And it's not empty like Matthew Stafford's numbers, where it's just a bunch of numbers, no substance behind it, no wins, no big wins, nothing of any kind of substance whatsoever. Whereas with Matt Ryan, look, there have been some seasons in there. There are some seasons in there that he went dark, But Matt Ryan is good. He's really good. Is he Hall of Fame good? I don't know. But I bet you if you put his numbers up against Eli Manning's and you look at his seasons, and there were some stinkers in there, no offensive line. There was a couple of years with no offensive line for Matt Ryan. He was fighting for his life back there. But I said all of that to say this. At the end of the day, I don't know if he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame, but he probably will get in. If he continues to play like he's playing now, and he plays like this for another 5 or 6 years, and he amasses a bunch of numbers, he'll probably get in. And I don't know if I would have a problem with that. When you look at this generation of quarterbacks and this era of quarterbacks, you don't get too far down the list before you get to Matt Ryan. So he's not better than Ben, though. Like, that's not a conversation to have. He's not better than Ben, and Ben's got the hardware to back that up. So, but I like Matt Ryan, and he would have had a much stronger case for the Hall of Fame if he would have won that Super Bowl. 28-3 will always haunt him if they never get back there. Jabril Adibi says Lamar is better than Watson. I don't think so. I don't think so. Lamar is more dynamic than Watson, but pure passer of the football, all around. Like, Lamar hasn't had to put a team on his back before. Lamar is surrounded by talent. They're a good football team. The Texans stink. There's no other way to say it. You take Lamar Jackson off of the Ravens, they'll survive. They'll win 8-9 games, find their way to the postseason. If you inserted Robert Griffin III on the Baltimore Ravens, they're not the same Ravens. Granted, I understand that. They'd still win 8 or 9 games and probably make the postseason. You take Robert Griffin III or whomever the backup is in Houston and insert them, they are a 3-4 win team, and Bill O'Brien is fired immediately. There's a huge difference in between those two quarterbacks. Lamar is dynamic. He's a game changer. He does a lot of things, but Lamar Jackson still, to me, can't carry a team. Deshaun can, had to. So to me, I don't think he's better, but to each its own. I'm not here to tell you that you're wrong. I just, in my heart of hearts, believe Deshaun Watson is a better quarterback than Lamar Jackson at this point of his career. Not to say that he won't be eventually. Reese, I don't care about basketball. I'm sorry, I can't get into basketball right now. I can't. Maybe when the finals come around, but don't talk to me about basketball on a football Sunday. And that's even if my team was in it. Football trumps all. I can't have the basketball discussion with you right now. Can't do it. Mr. TNA 2005, Seahawks need to bring someone from free agency to help that no existing pass rush. Who are you going to bring in? There isn't a guy walking the street, right? Like, good football players usually aren't available this time of the year. Earl Thomas is available, but there's a reason he's available right now. Outside of Earl Thomas, there isn't a guy that's a difference maker. And like I said, the Earl Thomas I saw last year, not the same Earl Thomas. I said it. So you're not going to find a difference-making edge rusher available right now. You're just not. So Seattle has what they have. They had a chance to improve their pass rush in the offseason, and They didn't. For whatever reason, whether it's cap restrictions or, other positions that they felt like were bigger concerns that they needed to address in the draft, they just didn't. So they got to live with it. And, when you spend a first-round pick on a guy like L.J. Collier, which I thought was a wasted first-round pick, which is why I was so for them trading for Jamal Adams, because they don't know what to do with first-round picks anyway. They probably feel like, we don't need to spend any more draft capital on defensive end. We got one. He's going to turn out to be the new Frank Clark. You're wrong. He's not. But, hey, good luck. You're going to need it. Mr. TNA 2005 says, Jay Gruden may be a bad head coach, but he was good until now as an OC and Jacks. Yeah, look, I've always said, I said this when he was the head coach of the Washington football team. He's a great offensive play caller and designer. He knows how to scheme guys open. No one has ever doubted Jay's prowess as an offensive play designer. Okay, not always the best play caller. He can get a little bit pass happy sometimes. His run game and his pass game don't usually marry up and match one another. But Jay's a smart guy. He knows offense. He knows how to get guys open. Never doubted that from him, even when he's in Washington. Why do you think Kirk Cousins had so many successful years under Jay Gruden? It's not a coincidence. Assist_ says, what is your occupation? This. What you're watching right now, this is my occupation. This is how I live. This is how I eat. JP says, I'm honestly terrified that Washington has to face Baltimore in week 4. I'm not looking forward to that at all. Guess what? You shouldn't be looking forward to week 3 versus Cleveland either. Like, stop jumping over games. Y'all did this last week. Stop jumping over games. We got Cleveland this week. Finish sulking in the ass whooping that we took this week. And then look forward to Cleveland week 3. Stop talking about Baltimore in week 4. JP says, the Panthers look like they could end up drafting Sunshine from Clemson at the rate they're going. I got to watch the game. I thought Teddy was actually pretty good week 1. I got to see. I know he threw an interception just looking at the box score. But again, I want to see how he played. Numbers don't always tell the story. I want to see what he looks like. Reese says, get out of here with Matt Ryan. The guy's always had good talent around him. Nobody said he didn't have good talent around him, but he won an MVP. There have been plenty of guys that have had talent around them that haven't won an MVP. He took his team to a Super Bowl. Matt Ryan's a good quarterback. You cannot like Matt Ryan. You have to respect Matt Ryan's career. I'm just going to say that. You don't have to like the man to respect him. Reese says, Minshew Mania is the new Fitzmagic. Probably. I just enjoy Fitzmagic. And guess what? We're going to get to watch both of those guys on Thursday Night Football. Aren't you excited about that? Dolphins, Jags. Reese says, Matt Ryan is the Troy Aikman of today. Well, Troy Aikman's a Hall of Famer. And no, they're not comparable. Troy Aikman won 3 Super Bowls. Matt Ryan hasn't won 1. Don't do that. Don't disrespect Troy Aikman like that. Captain Spartan says, Clay Matthews is available on the market. Seattle could get him. They could also trade for Carlos Dunlap, Geno Atkins, or Taven Bryan. Okay, first of all, Clay Matthews is washed. That's number 1. Number 2, none of the guys you just named are going to make any difference for them. Geno Atkins can't stay healthy, 1, and he's an interior. They don't have an interior defensive lineman problem. They have a defensive end edge rusher problem. So is Taven Bryan. He's also a defensive tackle. And Carlos Dunlap, he's not an elite pass rusher. So none of those guys do anything for Seattle. The bottom line is they're in trouble. They can't get to the quarterback. So there's that. Anyway, that's it. Those are all the comments. No more super chats. We'll get it out of here, man. I appreciate you guys chopping up with me. What a ball game. 35-30. The second straight primetime game that has had the final score of 35-30. Thursday Night Football ended in a 35-30 win for the Browns. And again, the home team wins a game with the score of 35-30. This time, the Seahawks taking down the New England Patriots. And so this was a fun one. Had a great finish, but this was a great game throughout. Enjoyed every second of it. Looking forward to more great games on Sunday Night Football. And hopefully we'll have a good game tomorrow night with the Saints and Raiders. Raiders opening up their brand new stadium. Don't forget, we got the podcast tomorrow. Monday edition. We'll break down all the games. So look forward to chopping it up with you guys and talking about week number 2 in the National Football League as we go slate skating on the Louie T Network podcast, among other things. So I'll see you guys then. Remember, if it's not your man T, it's not, I repeat, not the best NFL coverage it could be. Until next time, you guys stay safe, take care, and we will reconvene at a later date and time. You guys have a good one. Enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow.
LouieTeeNetwork.